Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today what we want to do here on the Onyx channel is take a quick look here at the NX4. So I previously, no, it's cold in here, I previously did videos on the NX1 and NX2, I believe both of them, as to how to customize it, just some things you might want to know when laying it out in order to make a really great show, okay? And today we want to do that for the NX4 as well. This is my baby. I love the NX4. It's a great console. Couple things about it that I do really like, just to get into it. To start, you can pick it up by yourself, right? You can literally pick it up. One man, one person, one woman, anybody, one human can put it up on the desk. It's really not too bad. So I love that about it. Truth be told, I used to do a lot of shows back when I did shows full-time on MA full-size consoles. And there's something I just love, like really love, about being able to, by myself when I do a show, lift my console into place. And then when I'm programming as well, you know, literally having everything within hand's reach without having to step to one side or the other to get to anything. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the NX1, just as we get into this. The other is, you know, it is expandable, right? So if I want a second motorized fader wing, I could do that with an NXK, right? Does it have LCD labels? No, but it still can do a lot for it. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, the kind of how I like to set up the NX1 for a really great show. In terms of a quick tour of the NX4, the surface as a whole, the biggest thing that sets it apart from the smaller consoles in Onyx land is that the main 10 faders are motorized. Yes, the NX1 faders are motorized as well. But what you get on the 4 is you get the LCD labels on those faders, as well as the 10 secondary, the 11 through 20 playback, which allows you to be able to put more stuff over there. And so you can literally at any time flip your faders back and forth. That's one of my first tips here with this button down here. And I can also make that fader flip an F key. Okay, so you might not know this if you're new to an NX4 or you're thinking about buying one, which if you are, there's no better place to get it than Learn Stage Lighting gear, link below as always, is that these 5 unlabeled mystery keys right here are function keys. So just like any other function key in Onyx, you can hold edit, hit the key. If your workspaces are unlocked, you'll be able to assign to it. If not, just hit the lock up here, unlock that workspace, then we can hit edit, hit the button, find the function we want to stick on those keys. Okay, you have those 5 as well as the regular 9, but these 5 I do find exceptionally helpful because you're able to do more mid-show stuff with them. Like in my mind, these 5 extra function keys that you get here are more capable during a show because they're in the realm of where your hands are. They're not up here near the programming keys, right? So I like to go on these keys and set things like the fader flip, and then set things like live times, okay? Live time is a big thing for me because it allows you to bring things in and out of your programmer, sneak as it's called on theatrical style consoles, bring things in and out really smoothly, whether you're adding things in or clearing things, making changes, updating, all of it happens smoothly when you have a live time set. The other one that I use a lot is the Cuelist time, the global Cuelist rate, because I like to have a lot of playbacks on buttons, typically on my screen, and I can adjust the speed that those happen at with the Cuelist rate. So those 5, typically I do rates and the fader flip sometimes on there if needed. But in terms of console layout, this actually has a trade show on it right now, but in terms of console layout, there's a couple things that I do uniquely on the NX4. The first is that I will do my 10 primary playback faders as, you know, typical show type playback things that I need intensity control of. So depending on the type of event that is, that's going to be, you know, things like a main wash. That's going to be things like, you know, maybe a video look, maybe not usually actually, you know, specials on different artists, some effects that I want to have that I'm going to use a lot. I'll put down here things like my blinders, anything like that, I'm going to put on faders. Okay, on the second half, on 11 through 20, I'm going to put things like my hazers. I'm going to put things like inhibitive faders for my different sets of lights for video shooting so that I'm able to adjust, pull them back to whatever level I need just by tapping this, adjusting, tapping back again, and you're good to go, and just be off to the races that way. Okay, so that's kind of how I like to lay out these main sections here. In terms of banks, I'm not a big user of multi-pages in Onyx. Especially in my primary bank, I don't want the faders moving around much because I want to make sure what I'm reaching for is always in the right place. That being said, I will go, especially on corporate shows, because I've done a lot of corporate shows, or any show where you might have stuff that you use one day or one session and then you don't need it for a few sessions and it might come back, it might not. I'll just go ahead, move, tap that playback, okay, and just, shove it up to page 5 or whatever, right? Just shove it up out of the way. Have it so that, hey, if for some reason they call for that cue again, I need it, I decide I need it, and it's, not on page 1 like it was, I can just page forward, find it, play it back, move it at a moment's notice, which is another great thing. Don't forget you do have your selected playback on these main playback controls left and right on the NX1. Okay, what does that mean? That means if you're doing a show, maybe you do a lot of busking, a lot of live and on the fly work, I know I do, but you've got portions of it that are cued out a little bit more theatrically, okay? When you're working with those portions, there's no need for them to take up one of your main playback faders, unless you just happen to have extra ones you're handing out like candy, because you don't need intensity level control often of that fader. So if that's the case, you can stick it on a different bank. You can do whatever you want with it, but the biggest key, it can be on a playback button, whatever, is that you can take that cue list, like for example, let's just go to the cue list directory, okay? And there is in the cue list directory a button up at the top called As Main. We can show a screenshot of it here. You hit that one, okay? And now we have identified one of our cue lists here, cue list 14, as the main cue list. Now, a few interesting things happen when you do that. One is when I click around and select different cue lists, my main cue list always sits here at the top as the main. It's always available at the top of the screen. But it's also now tied to my main playback section, okay? So I'm able to go, let me take one with multiple cues, just for an example, and I'm able to play through those, right? Oops, I got the wrong one there. Boom. So now I selected a new one as main. It has a yellow tag. It's up here at the top. And I'm able at any time to use these main playback buttons to fire through it. I can view it here at the top, what cue I'm on, or I can go to my, keep going up there, to my cue list values. And if I also select it, which I should be able to select here. Now, if I did select it, I could see all the cues, have it up on the screen, see where I am in that cue list, but not be eating up one of my all-important faders. Let's talk about the left half of the console. These are the Sub Playback Faders, as they call them. Not Sub Masters, because that's a type of cue list in Onyx, but Sub Playback Faders. You get 12 faders, each with a flash button, 12 buttons, okay? Few things you need to know about that. They're the same cue list, they're interchangeable with the main playback faders, but they're not on the bottom of the screen, okay? And that trips some people up sometimes, okay? There is a window you can grab called the Submaster module. It has the Sub Playback Faders on. If you do want to adjust what the button or the fader does for the Sub Playbacks, it's actually pretty simple. The easiest way, in my mind, to do it, there's a couple ways, but the easiest way is to just tap on one of these at the bottom, double tap, open up the cue list options with that cog, okay? Then I can go ahead and actually just hold select on the console and click on my new cue list, my Sub Playback. It now shows up right here on the window, and now I can adjust the function assignments, whatever I want. It's going to show you the fader and the button. You can assign those to do whatever you would like. Now, one thing people point out and is noticed a lot is that the Martin M1, the previous console before this one, the NX1, okay, the NX4, I keep saying that wrong, is the previous console is that the Martin console had little wheels here to switch between your banks. Now, depending on who you are, you either loved those wheels or you hated them. I was indifferent about them, maybe more on the side of hated, because ultimately, when you don't have LCD labels and you don't have it permanently on screen and you have a wheel that makes it really easy to change the pages, it means you would change the page or the bank inadvertently without knowing it, and then stuff wouldn't work when it was supposed to, right? So in terms of show setup, more often than not, I literally don't do pages on my Sub Playbacks. But if you want to, you totally can. Okay, few notes about that. One is the button. If we hold bank and then we use these selector keys, these will take us bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, bank 4, bank 5, bank 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 24. So you've got 24 pages you can get to really easily just by holding bank, pressing the key. Okay. However, if you go to a different bank, okay, and there are Cuelists on it, let me just put one on here. Okay. That's not going to blink, and it's not going to work with that fader till I sync it up, right? Like most consoles with non-motorized faders, if you switch pages and you have faders, you're going to see a lot of blinky lights like this where you got to sync your fader. That's probably why I don't often use pages on the Sub Playback banks. But again, you can switch them, and it can be helpful to do so in certain situations. Right? What else? Desk lamps. You can, in the patch, patch your desk lamps if you want to and have them change colors along with your show. So you can go into the display section, to the lighting section, and change the colors of the desk lamps all day long. And I've got them hidden back here because, of course, like any good lighting product, depending on what frame rate you're at on your cameras, sometimes they blink. Okay, and they're full RGB, you can change them. But you can also go in here, go to a new fixture, and you can patch them, and the brand is going to be Obsidian Control Systems. You have all the consoles here, and now you can patch it in. When you do patch in the NX4 controller, you're going to get both control of those desk lamps and of all the display brightnesses. So be careful in your programming. Everything defaults to full. So you're not just going to patch it and have everything go to black, but you can get yourself in a place where you do program your screens to almost black, and it's very tough to see them, so be careful with it. But can be really helpful if either you have a long-running theatrical style show where you want to have the lights come up, dim, turn blue, turn white during different parts of the cue list, or if you just want to have fun. Sometimes I will go on shows, especially if there's a live music element to them, and just, right when I've done a lot of my programming, just go in and just clone an LED fixture to the desk lamps, and then they flash and change with the show. It's fun. Is it a gag? Sure, but it's fun, right? So we'll get out of there. That's another cool element as well. Other than that, the NX4, great console. Just like the other Onyx console, if you're not aware, find a fixture. If you're not aware, when you select them, there's a lot you can do on the LCD. Double tapping at the top is going to show things like your gobos, like your color selections. I love the trackball, even though I know there's only one trackball manufacturer in the world now, so that the life of trackballs is probably going to end at some point. But other than that, this wheel does intensity. Those wheels do the things on the screen. We love the NX4. It's a lot of fun of a console to work on, especially when you talk about the pixel mapping. We have videos on Dialos all around, including on Stage Lighting Labs. But more importantly, if you're looking for a console that has a lot of universes, even if you're not looking for one with a lot of universes, if you've looked at alternatives like the Roadhogs from high-end systems, Grand MA consoles, etc., what I think you'll find in the NX4 is that it's very versatile, especially when you start working with pixels or media. It is very fast and very easy to work with, but the price point on these is just nuts when you compare them to some of these other consoles. Either, in terms of comparing to Hog, usually the pricing's about You get a 10 fader console with no tilting screen and no motorized faders for about the cost of this console, which has 64 universes instead of 8. With others like MA, you basically get a PC wing for the cost of an NX4, or the smallest console possible. There's a reason we love these so much, because they serve us well, they serve our customers well. And if you're interested in more about Onyx, you're interested in NX4, you have questions, whatever, head over to Learn Stage Lighting Gear, request a quote. Feel free to shoot in questions via our contact page. We love to help people find the perfect solution for all their needs, and we hope that maybe the NX4 is right for you, and if it is, come get it from us. We're the Onyx experts. We'll bundle in training. We'll help you along the way. We would love to serve you in that way. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.